right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Apptrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Kevin the Apptrepreneur. It is an honor to have you all here today. This is the podcast where we talk about apps, technology, and life in between, and maybe a little bit of entrepreneurship as well. So, anyway, I don't know how long this particular episode of the Apptrepreneur Show is going to be. Truthfully, I am seriously considering switching up the formats on how we produce videos on this channel. So that we could get more videos and doesn't take up so much of my time to do that. But hey, Vanish, how you doing? Welcome to the live stream. But there was definitely this story that as an entrepreneur, as someone who blogs, as someone who writes for publications, this has me concerned, especially since I'm kind of a columnist, if you will, when I'm not doing YouTube stuff. And even when I am doing YouTube stuff, I write my opinions, and those opinions are not always possible. Well, hello, Devo Meister. So far, things are going well today. So anyway, I write a lot of opinions for various publications, websites, blogs, this YouTube channel, the other YouTube channels. I do state the facts when there's a story, and I try to get them correctly. I get it wrong once in a while, but haven't done that in a while, and when I do, I apologize. Which is why when I read this thing about PayPal a couple days ago, and I was really busy a couple of days ago because I really wanted to talk about this, it bothered me greatly. Now, before we begin, we're going to be discussing that oh so controversial topic called fake news and misinformation. Now, make no mistake, there is fake news, there is misinformation. It's not completely on the far right, as some people like to make it sound, but it's also not completely on the far left either. Basically, there is some middle ground. There are facts, there are information, there is science, there are things that are binary, there are things that can be test tubed, and then there are opinions. And here's the thing: if you want to, say, make a tonic juice called chiliweed, for example, and claim that it can grow back arms and things like that, and really it can increase your risk of having a stroke, then yes, I consider that misinformation. I consider that to be especially dangerous. If you don't believe someone landed on the moon, that is also misinformation. However, it's also your opinion that no one landed on the moon, and frankly, no one's going to get hurt by having that opinion. Those are just some examples. What concerns me, though, is how misinformation is being used to, like, say, I believe this person is this, or I believe this person is that. I believe this does not do anything. That might be wrong, but it might not necessarily be misinformation. It's just someone who has an opinion that maybe I agree or don't agree with. That's kind of the point. I think genuine misinformation does need to be tackled, but it's being overarched into the opinion category. So, let's just say I don't like the Black Panther movie. I do. A lot, actually. It's one of the few Marvel movies recently that I think is a genuinely good movie. But let's say my opinion is it's not very good, and my opinion is it's being blown way out of proportion. People say, well, because you have this motivation or this motivation or this motivation, you are spreading misinformation. No, I'm not. I am spreading an opinion, but I know someone who publicly stated on Twitter they did not think Black Panther was the cultural movie that people were making it out to be, and they had their Twitter account suspended. That was not misinformation. That was an opinion, and I don't think Twitter should be making that call. Well, PayPal decided to do something especially egregious, and they made an announcement, and they're trying to backpedal. I don't believe them when they say they're backpedaling. I believe they did intend to do this because this is something that PayPal, it just seems like something PayPal would do. In fact, fun fact, my very first YouTube video on YouTube, not this channel, but on YouTube, was a video called How to Avoid the PayPal Scam. So I definitely have mixed feelings about PayPal. Them scamming people out of money is not new to me. But they decided fairly recently that they were going to fine users for misinformation. And Of course, this immediately got people to look at what PayPal was doing, and it's like PayPal's trying to control your speech. They want you to say a certain thing, they want you to toe the line. And here's the thing, I'm sure that they do, but here's the main reason PayPal was doing this. PayPal was doing this, I believe, because they wanted more money. They just wanted more money. Companies have to constantly grow. And considering how liberally misinformation is thrown around, like it even gets thrown around when someone is stating an opinion, wrong as that opinion might be, it might not be misinformation if it is an opinion. But hey, they throw this opinion around, this label around, and they could dock your account and make more money. Now, what they wanted to do was that if you were accused of spreading misinformation, and by the way, in this policy that they had announced, they really didn't outline too clearly what they considered to be misinformation. But if you threw out misinformation, they found it, they would fine your account $2,500. They wouldn't suspend your account. They wouldn't kick you off. They would just fine you $2,500. Now, here's the thing. PayPal does have a history of cutting ties with groups that they consider hate groups. And by the way, as a private company, they are totally allowed to do that. And I also have a very unpopular opinion. I think some of those groups deserve to be cut off from PayPal because they are collecting money for dangerous things. Like they are not spending that money wisely. They are spending that money on things that will hurt innocent people. They are open about the fact that they are fundraising to hurt innocent people. I have no problem if PayPal decides that they want to cut those people off. But here's the thing. Once they cut those people off, well, they got to give back donations. They lose a lot of money in PayPal fees. And they probably have they have a database of who's a repeat offender, who really does not say things that are truthful. And I think what they decided to do was, well, look, instead of closing these accounts and basically being accused of stifling free speech and all that, here's what we're going to do. We know who's giving out the misinformation. We are just going to fine their account. Every time they put out misinformation, we'll just fine them $2,500. And first, we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to bleed them dry, and they're going to get off of the account of their own volition anyway. But then here's the thing. We get to keep that money, and we make how many thousands of dollars off of them before they decide to stop with this nonsense. I don't believe this decision was PayPal so much trying to control the speech as that was, hey, we can just make a lot of extra money because we know who is sharing the misinformation that is harmful, the stuff that we need to report to the police anyway. But rather than close the account and give everyone refunds, we're just going to fine them. We're going to fine them for abusing our platform. Now, I have to say, unpopular opinion, kind of a stroke of genius. That is in some ways a way more effective way to get some of these hate groups off of the PayPal platform without actually shutting them down and being accused of censorship. Like, hey, if they are stating things that are provably false and objectionably harmful, then yeah, just fine them continuously until they close their PayPal account and they find another way to make their money. But again, here's the issue. The issue is that misinformation is thrown around so liberally. If I said, like, it is my opinion, hi Giovanni. If I stated, like, it is my opinion that Adam Sandler uses his movie making as a way to get free vacations, I might be right. I might be wrong. I can't prove it. I've stated it's my opinion, but what if I am wrong? What if they can factually be proven that Adam Sandler makes the movies that he makes because he genuinely believes they are movies worth making and he's not using studio money to go on vacation and get paid to do it? What if that can factually be proven that that's what happens? Well, then maybe PayPal can find me money, even though I stated it was an opinion. That's where it became a tricky beast. But PayPal faced severe backlash for this, and rightfully so. And let's talk about it. So PayPal faces backlash after floating fines for sharing misinformation. PayPal is facing blowback after proposing rules that would have allowed it to fine users $2,500 for promoting misinformation, which the online payment service has since called an error. Over the weekend, several conservative outlets reported that the tech company updated its terms of agreement under which PayPal can levy fines against users for violations to include, quote, the sending, posting, or publication of any messages, content, or materials that promotes misinformation. The update immediately sparked uproar online on the right, marking the latest instance that a major online payment service has faced heat over its moderation practices. And of course, the objection is going to primarily be on the right because well, first of all, a lot of the big right-wing sites, the really far right-wing sites, are not being entirely truthful in their reporting. But more so, the right has been advocating for free speech and lack of tech censorship. The left, which is why I can't really call myself a Democrat, even though I agree with a lot of their stances, the left has really been pushing for tech censorship, and I just don't agree with that. I believe if you can find bad groups that you can really use a measuring stick and say this is a bad group and they are suggesting things that are illegal and potentially harmful, yeah, get rid of those people if you can. But just because you disagree with them, I don't agree with that. So anyway, Brendan Carr, he's a Republican on the Federal Communications Commission, said, Orwellian, PayPal reserves the right to take your money if you post a message that PayPal decides is quote unquote misinformation. This is why it is so pivotal that the state and federal legislators pass laws that prohibit discrimination by tech companies and protect free speech. Senator Marsha Blackburn, a Republican for Tennessee, said PayPal is censoring speech. If you don't listen, they will steal your money. We cannot allow this to happen. In all fairness, I've always advocated for not keeping money into PayPal accounts. And when you get money through PayPal, withdraw as fast as possible. Go to your bank, take it out of your bank account, and keep the PayPal account connected to a bank account that only has a bare minimum balance. That's what I always recommend. Christina Pushaw, spokesperson for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who I'm not a fan of, said, well, looks like PayPal spread misinformation about itself. Maybe they should pay $2,500. Now that's probably in regards to their response. So here's the thing. Here's the other thing. The move also drew a rare rebuke from PayPal's former president, David Marcus, as well as Elon Musk, who has been sharply critical of social media companies' moderation practices and floated changes to Twitter if he completes the deal to die. So David Marcus, who used to be the president of PayPal, said, it's hard for me to openly criticize a company I used to love and gave so much to. But PayPal's new AUP goes against everything I believe in. A private company now gets to decide to take your money if you say something they disagree with. Insanity. And that's what the problem with this was. And this is why I decided to make the video. Because again, if you can measurably prove that someone is saying, hey, we are going to raise money to make a toy that goes boom, and they're open about it, I have no problem if PayPal shuts a group like that down. That if there was a legitimate threat, that is fine. But this had the very, very real potential to be used for people that maybe someone at PayPal just did not agree with. Anyway, on Saturday, I'm obviously late in talking about this. The company updated the user agreement and said it was sent out in error. I don't believe it was sent out in error, but let's talk about this anyway. PayPal spokesperson Justin Higgs said in an email that the updated user agreement, which was slated to go into effect November 3rd, included incorrect information related to company policy. Higgs added, PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted in our policy. Our teams have made appropriate updates to correct these inaccuracies, and we apologize for any confusion this has caused. He also pushed back on the notion that PayPal's fines are new, saying that its user agreement, quote, has long stated that PayPal can take funds of up to $2,500 or local equivalent from an account for each violation of the acceptable use policy. So, the funny thing is he's right. This isn't technically new. PayPal does put in their policy that they can take money out of your account for all sorts of reasons. And that's one of the reasons I am very cautious about using them, and I don't use them as my main payment service. So the outcry highlights how a growing segment of internet services beyond social media companies are facing scrutiny over their user policies. Last year, congressional Democrats pressed PayPal to ban users who are prolific promoters of COVID-19 information and to, quote, stop people from profiting off their dangerous lies. Further back, PayPal faced calls to boot off InfoWars, a site known to peddle in conspiracy theories, and Gab, the fringe social network popular among white supremacists. It kicked both off as 2018. For those of you who wonder where I kind of stand on that, I am perfectly fine for them kicking InfoWars off. Gab, a little bit more conflicted about that one. I don't use Gab because of the people that are on Gab. I have an account, haven't used it in a long time. But, I mean, that was a slippery slope where it's like, some of the people who are on Gab also use Facebook, but Facebook isn't getting kicked off. While Facebook is seemingly an unlikely target compared with its Silicon Valley peers, the dust-up could lead to greater scrutiny for the company if Republicans retake the House or Senate. Senator Tim Scott, who recently co-sponsored GOP-led legislation targeting Google over allegations of bias in its email filtering practices, said Saturday his office is looking onto the issue. As Tim Scott says, allowing private companies to become thought police would be egregious and illegal overreach. My office will be looking into the validity of PayPal's new policy and taking any necessary action to stop this type of corporate activism. Now, here's where things get really complicated in that, because I definitely understand where everyone's coming on this one. PayPal is a private company. They are. And so in theory, they have the right to do whatever they want with their company. However, we are moving towards digital currency. That's why crypto's popular now. I think more people use Venmo, Cash, and PayPal than they use literally printed money. And also like Apple Pay and Amazon Pay, and Walmart has a payment system now. So money is moving digitally, and once you start suspending people's, their payment accounts, that hinders their ability to use money. So it's interesting. PayPal is a private company, but they provide a public service. And in the past, it has been shown that if you provide a public service, even if you are a company, you have limited control of what you can do with your customers. So anyway, let's see. So let's see here. But by the way, I also love this thing from the Devo Meister. PayPal's not a government agency to issue fines. And yeah, they shouldn't be doing that anyway. I mean, it's already bad enough that PayPal will fine you for a bunch of things that I think is way out of line. But that was just a step too far. And here's the thing, because they already have it in their user agreement that they could take up to $2,500 in fines for a variety of reasons, I don't think this was them trying to control their speech at all. I think this was them basically trying to make more money. I think that's what they were trying to do. They wanted to make more money. They found an easy way to do it, but there was enough backlash. And here's the thing, there was enough backlash because delete PayPal was trending. I know 4 people personally, at least one of which was a Democrat, a registered Democrat who hates Trump. And they were like, no, that sounds like an overreach. That sounds creepy. And we're closing our PayPal accounts. It should be noted that this Democrat friend also has a YouTube channel and shares some spicy opinions about some things. So there was a real risk that PayPal could be docking his account. And that's why, even though, in theory, he shouldn't have anything to fear because he's not saying anything false, because he has wild hot take opinions, he was a little concerned about that. So anyway, here's the thing. I am glad that PayPal got this backlash and that they were basically forced to backpedal on it. I did not close my PayPal account because they backpedaled before I got the chance to. And also, considering all the businesses I run, I just can't afford to not have PayPal. PayPal is too big to not be a part of. It's kind of like Amazon. I primarily sell things on eBay, Mercari. I've recently discovered Pango Books, and I might be doing a review of that app come soon because I'm pretty impressed with the app, if I'm being honest. But I also have an Amazon Seller Central account because you have to. Amazon is too big. And as much as I hate being on that site, you have to do it. And I would be really, really happy if a day comes where I don't need to be on Amazon anymore. So anyway, so that is where the PayPal story ends. So let's look at a couple other things. Have you heard about the situation in Dearborn, Michigan about banning book that? Oh, wow. In this situation, here's the thing. I do not advocate banning books, but I do believe when it comes to a children's library, one that's attached to a school, there might be some things that maybe they don't need to have there. I think it's been going way too far. Mouse is in no way a awful book for kids to be reading. Do school libraries need to have books that teach kids about essays in general, like what you do in bed with a partner? I think that's a no. So I could understand that one a little bit, whether it be straight or gay. Logical face. The left only supports censorship of the people that they disagree with. If a left exposes all kinds of hatred towards right-wingers, it won't get censored, not one bit. I do agree with that. The left is very hypocritical in that regard. I mean, in all fairness, I think the right's also a little hypocritical. I mean, the right, forgive the pun, rightfully pushes back on cancel culture. But then when it's someone that they don't like who's getting canceled, they seem to be all for like, oh, well, words have consequences. So, there's a little bit of hypocrisy to go around in both areas. And the app is called Pandango Books, or Pango Books, something like that. Like I said, I might actually do a video review of that because, it's a way to make money. And I haven't done an app review where I can explain how an app works, how you make money in a while. And I am called the Apptrepreneur, so it would be a great time to do it. So anyway, folks, that is where we're going to end this episode of the Apptrepreneur show. By the way, thank you so much for sticking with me despite the sporadic updates. Life's been tough the last couple months, if I'm being perfectly frank, but I still make time to come do this every couple of weeks. I want to do more, and I am thinking of a new format that might give me the opportunity. So we'll still have the Apptrepreneur show. You'll still see me on camera, but there might be other videos throughout the week that might have lower production values, but I get to share my opinion. And yes, I heard about the law that might affect Uber and Lyft and DoorDash drivers, and I will probably talk about that at some point. It almost seems like a logical thing for me to talk about and finish the journey, if you will. But anyway, to the people who joined me tonight, thank you so much for joining me. Love to know what you think about all of this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.